Okay, welcome. Today we're going to look at factoring trinomials that have a leading coefficient that is not 1. So let's go ahead and take our notes out and we'll get ready to go. Remember during the video, if you're falling behind in your notes, to pause the video and get your notes caught back up so we have a complete set of notes. Or if you didn't quite understand something the first time, pause the video, rewind it, and watch it again. Sometimes it takes a couple times through to understand the concept. Lastly, our focus today is not only learning how to factor trinomials, but also learning how to take a good set of notes. So my expectation when the video is done, that you have not only written the example down, but you also come up with a set of steps in your own words. Okay, let's go ahead and let's begin. All right, so our first problem we're going to look at is you want to factor the expression 6x squared minus 4x minus 16. So go ahead and write that down. That's 6x squared minus 4x minus 16. And remember that we also want to write down the steps as we go. Okay, let's begin in our factoring technique. The first thing we want to do when we factor is we want to look for the greatest common factor. We want to factor out the greatest common factor. So if I look at 6, negative 4, negative 16, I notice that they're all even, so they have a factor of at least 2. Now 4 goes into 16, but 4 does not go into 6. So our greatest common factor is going to be 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. Put some parentheses. I also noticed that I have an x squared and x, but since I don't have an x on the constant term, I cannot factor out an x. So our greatest common factor, again, is simply just 2. And as we factor that out, it's simply dividing. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I have 3x squared. Minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. Bring the x down. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. So there's our first step. Our first step is factor out the greatest common factor. Okay, our next step is similar to what we learned yesterday, factoring trinomials where the leading coefficient was 1. We're going to simply multiply the first term coefficient with the constant. So 3 times negative 8, go ahead and write it down here. A little side work, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So I'm going to look for factors of negative 24 that add up to my middle term coefficient, which in this case is negative 2. So again, that's first times last, our leading coefficient times the constant, and factors of that product that add up or sum up to our middle term coefficient, which is negative 2. Okay, so go ahead and add that step in. Okay, from here, it's still parallel to what we've learned. We're looking for factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 2, and the first two that pop in my head are 6 and 4. And because the 24 is negative, that means the signs on the factors will be different. And because our 2 is negative, that means our largest value, our largest factor, will be negative. So negative 6 plus a positive 4 is negative 2. And here's where it differs than yesterday. Okay, the next step I'm going to go back to the leading term coefficient, which is 3. I'm just going to divide these factors by 3. Okay, so if you need to pause the video, go ahead and get your steps caught back up. Okay, once you divide by that leading term coefficient, it's simply just simplifying, and you're basically done. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. 4/3 is simplified, so I'm going to go ahead and circle it. So our last step is to just substitute them back in. So don't forget about your GCF you pulled out, which is 2. Now I know this is a 3x squared, but my variable is still x, so I'm going to go ahead and put an x here. And another set of parentheses, x there. Slap in our two factors. We have a negative 2, and we have a positive 4/3. Now from here, we cannot have a fraction there, so we're going to take care of our fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that. And what we're simply going to do is what I call laying it down. Now, because this is not a fraction, he'll stay the same. That's x minus 2. So we brought down our GCF. And all we're going to do is handle the fraction. And laying it down simply means I'm going to take the denominator and move him to the front of the x. So instead of 4/3, laying it down, so moves it to the front. It's going to be 3x plus 4. Okay, we are now in factored form. Remember again, you need not only the examples, but a set of steps on what we did so you can reproduce this. So if you need to, go ahead and listen to it again or listen to certain concepts and make sure your steps are caught up and have them ready for tomorrow. Thanks.